zero in on. The movie is called Shag. It's set in 1963 as four teenage girls discover themselves during their last fling before college, and that's coming up next.
Oh, I forgot. It was Sunbump Festival this weekend.
The movie is named Shag, and it tells the story of four teenage girls on the brink of adulthood who sneak away from their middle-class homes in Spartanburg, South Carolina, to spend a weekend of fun at Myrtle Beach, which I guess is the South Carolina equivalent of Fort Lauderdale. It's where the boys are and the beer in a big shag dance contest, and it looks like fun to the girls, who are played here by Annabeth Gish, Phoebe Cates, Bridget Fonda, and Paige Hanna.
Hi. Hi. Where y'all from?
None of your beeswax. None of your beeswax? That's so queer.
At first, the weekend looks like a series of typical boy-girl flirtations.
Cool, here comes somebody. Pudge, if he asks you to dance, first time say no. Don't want him thinking you're desperate.
Would any of y'all like to dance?
No, thank you. I'd love to. No, wait now. The exception proves the rule.
But the weekend isn't all lightweight, and Phoebe Cates, who's engaged to a tobacco tycoon, falls in love with Robert Rustler as the local nonconformist.
Bebo?
I don't drink in the middle of the day.
Well, you sure have a lot of rules for yourself, don't you, Carson?
Would you kindly put your shirt back on?
No.
Another weekend romance develops between Scott Coffey and Annabeth Gish, who didn't believe she was attractive until he convinced her otherwise.
I'm gonna be a Marine. Anyway, I was telling Buzz that, well, I was really hoping that I'd fall in love with a girl that somewhere souls I'd have someone to write to.
Oh, Chip.
The presence of Annabeth Gish in that scene is a reminder of a movie from last year that she was in named Mystic Pizza, which has a lot in common with Shag. Both movies are about high school girlfriends facing the challenge of adulthood. Mystic Pizza was the better film, but Shag also has charm and sensitivity, and I like the way it recreated the year of 1963. This movie actually takes place at almost the same time as American Graffiti, and sometimes I wonder, as we were talking earlier, about why so many recent teenage films are set in the 50s and early 60s. Maybe it's because being a teenager in those years was more fun, even if it didn't always seem like it at the time.
Well, I think the other explanation is pretty obvious, which is that's when the filmmakers themselves and the writers of the film generation were teenagers themselves and growing up, so that's naturally what they write about, that's what they recall. I think Mystic Pizza was the far, far better film. The four actresses are quite good here. I think they're better than the material that they're given. I wish that they had been given some more interesting things to do. As soon as I see the girl who is engaged to the society guy, I know that relationship's going to break apart.
Yeah.
I would just like to see these people taken on a different trip into a different thing.
Well, but it breaks apart, but yet it breaks apart in a new way. The guy played by Tyrone Power, and he falls in love with one of the other four girls, the one who thinks that she's plain. You know, when we get the big, gee, when you take off your glasses, you're really beautiful. I always love that scene. I like some of the other supporting performances here. Scott Coffey, Robert Rustler, those two young kids that they meet, are both very well-developed and well-written characters.
Wouldn't you rather see them play stronger material, either stronger, funnier, or stronger, serious? I mean, don't you know it's a little juvenile? I mean, generally.
It is a little juvenile, but you know what I got in touch with when I was watching this movie, because I lived through this almost exact period, you know, while you were still in...
That's not true. I was 17.
You were in the sandbox at the time, digging away, making your little castles.
You were over
things.
20.
I was about... well, let me think. 43, 53. I was about 20, yes.
Thank you.
Which is about old enough to appreciate this period, as opposed to you were too callow and immature.
Yeah, nice vamping. I was a teenager.
That basically, this is what it was like. It wasn't a lot deeper than this, was it? For you, you sat around discussing
yes, it was.
Schopenhauer all the time with your dates?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't read Schopenhauer. Oh. But we had nothing to talk about. They split vote on Shag, four teenage girls coming of age in the 60s. We both agreed that the performances were good, but I found the material to be trite, whereas Roger was engaged.